On a construction site, two workers were transferring heavy machinery into a building using an elevated, suspended platform lifted by a crane. The platform was positioned above ground level to allow entry into an upper-level opening. While pushing the machinery into the building, the combined weight caused the suspended platform to shift unexpectedly. The machinery slipped from the platform, and both workers fell to the ground along with the equipment. Emergency responders were called immediately, and the workers were reported injured during the incident. Workers should avoid manually pushing heavy equipment while on suspended platforms. Instead, machinery should be lifted and positioned using rigging methods that distribute weight safely. On a construction site, a forklift was being transferred to an upper floor of a building using a suspended platform supported by a crane. As the forklift moved on the platform toward the building entry point, the platform unexpectedly shifted away from the structure, causing the forklift to fall to the ground. Transferring powered equipment at height on suspended platforms requires careful planning and adherence to load limits and stability standards. Forklifts and other heavy machinery should only be moved using purpose-designed lifting equipment with secure attachment points. Workers must maintain safe distances from moving equipment, and supervisors should verify platform stability before initiating any lift. In Yidu Hubei Province, China, a worker was positioned directly in front of the machine within the operator's blind zone. As the excavator moved forward, the worker was unintentionally lifted by the bucket. The operator, unaware of her presence and reportedly distracted at the time, continued normal operation and discharged material into a nearby truck. The event highlighted the risks associated with blind spots and inattention during heavy equipment operations. Heavy mobile equipment, such as excavators, have significant blind zones that cannot be mitigated by human presence alone. Personnel must maintain clear situational awareness and avoid standing forward of an active machine's travel path or work area where they cannot be directly observed by the operator. Inside an industrial work area, a crew was transferring a large glass sheet from a truck bed to the ground. While maneuvering the panel, one worker lost balance near the transfer path, causing the glass to fall and break. A co-worker's hand came into contact with the broken material during the incident. The individual was reported injured during the incident and received prompt first aid treatment on site before being transported for further medical evaluation. Workers should wear cut-resistant gloves and protective clothing, maintain stable footing, and coordinate movements with team members using clear communication. At an industrial site, a crew was unloading a heavy steel coil from a truck bed. The planned procedure involved lifting the coil with two forklifts positioned on opposite sides to stabilize the load while the truck departed. As the truck moved, the weight distribution shifted, causing both forklifts to tilt under the load. One of the forklifts experienced a fork failure, breaking under the strain. Fortunately, no personnel were injured during the incident. When handling heavy coils or other high-mass materials, it is essential to ensure proper load balancing and that lifting equipment is rated for the total weight. On a residential street, a group of workers were engaged in moving a large, heavy object from the bed of a parked pickup truck. The task involved manually shifting the load toward the edge of the truck in preparation for unloading. Initially, the movement appeared controlled, with workers positioned on both sides of the object to guide it down. As the load was shifted, its center of gravity changed unexpectedly, causing the weight to become unbalanced. The object began to tilt and subsequently fell from the truck bed onto the ground surface. Manual handling of large and heavy objects requires careful assessment of load stability and the use of appropriate mechanical assistance. Workers should evaluate the object's weight distribution before movement and avoid relying solely on physical force to control heavy loads. At a factory site in Guangdong Province, People's Republic of China, a worker was engaged in routine activity near a freight elevator while looking at a mobile phone. The worker remained focused on the device and did not notice that the elevator platform was not in position at floor level. As he stepped forward with a manual pallet jack, the elevator shaft was open and unsupported beneath him. The worker and the pallet jack fell through the open shaft. Reports indicate that the worker was conscious when transported to a medical facility and did not suffer life-threatening injuries. This occurrence highlights the risks of distraction around moving equipment and unprotected openings on industrial work sites. On an industrial construction site, a crew was engaged in routine inspection and handling of a large prefabricated metal formwork panel. Workers positioned themselves beside the formwork to secure connections for an overhead crane lift. During the lifting operation, the panel unexpectedly shifted as the crane hook slipped from its designated attachment point. The panel descended toward a worker standing nearby. Fortunately, the panel's hollow structure prevented any contact or injury. Co-workers immediately responded by lifting and stabilizing the panel, ensuring the worker remained safe. No injuries were reported, and the operation was halted for a safety review before resuming. The incident highlighted the importance of secure rigging and careful positioning during crane-assisted lifts. When lifting large prefabricated components, it is essential to verify that all rigging connections are properly secured and that personnel maintain a safe distance from suspended loads. Hollow or lightweight structures may reduce injury risk, but reliance on luck is not acceptable. A pre-lift inspection, clear communication among crew members, and adherence to rigging protocols ensure that each lift is executed safely. Using spotters and secondary safety measures, such as tag lines to control movement, can prevent uncontrolled shifts and protect workers during crane operations. On a worksite in the United States, a crew attempted to relocate a large piece of machinery to an upper-level opening in an exterior wall using an improvised method involving two forklifts. A smaller forklift carrying the load was positioned on the forks of a larger forklift to gain height and access the second-floor opening. An operator controlled the lower forklift while another worker remained with the smaller machine above. As the combined assembly was raised and moved horizontally toward the wall opening, it became unstable due to the elevated center of gravity and atypical configuration. As the lower device crept closer to the structure, the lift arrangement reached a point where the load began to shift. The upper portion slipped laterally off the supporting forks and fell to the ground surface below. This method of stacking powered industrial trucks compromised stability and did not align with recognized safe handling or lifting protocols. Handling heavy loads at elevation requires planning and the use of appropriate equipment designed and certified for the task. Powered industrial trucks, such as forklifts, must not be stacked or employed in tandem to lift another machine or load beyond manufacturer ratings and safety standards. Prior to any movement of loads that exceed standard capacities, a risk assessment should identify the correct tools, such as a crane, boom lift, or purpose-built aerial work platform, and confirm that operators are trained and authorized for equipment use. On an industrial site, a worker was performing tasks near a material mixer while it was in operation. The worker leaned close to the machine, and the loose sleeve of his shirt became caught in the rotating components of the mixer. The worker was momentarily trapped, but managed to free himself after considerable effort. When working near rotating or moving machinery, it is critical to wear properly fitted clothing that cannot be caught in equipment. Loose garments, jewelry, and unsecured personal items should be avoided in proximity to operational machinery. Machines must have adequate guards in place to prevent entanglement, and workers should maintain a safe distance from moving parts. Regular training on machine hazards and safe operating procedures helps prevent entanglement incidents and ensures that personnel can operate equipment safely.